Thanks, Patrick. Let's move on here. Okay, so what we'd like you to do really quickly, just to get the brains thinking and get the minds moving a bit, we're talking about a collective impact model where we're gathering people from all over. We have such an amazing committee. We have approximately 30 members from all different walks of education and services that assist education on the TAVE committee. And so we just want you to get started here with sharing some significant trades and technologies discovery that you've made over the past little while, whether it be this year, whether it be the last few years. What are your significant trades and technologies discoveries, or things that you'd like to share with the groups in terms of how trades and technologies are shaping up in your school divisions or in your practice? If you wouldn't mind just putting that in the chat, just take a few minutes to answer that, we'd really appreciate it. Okay, we have some answers rolling in while you're still typing there. We have amazing stories of practice, absolutely. Community partnerships for funding on a new school build can drastically increase access to CTS spaces, absolutely. Summer pre-apprenticeship opportunities for students in a variety of trades. Industry being a keen and willing partner is essential. Programs require passion. Thank you, Roger, of course, yeah. We currently have cohorts running for pre-employment welding and mechanics through a partnership with Northern Lakes College. That's amazing. Providing opportunities for kids to access dual credit programming in areas of interest, absolutely. Seen an increase in students having access to myriads of trades, which opens up their options as they can see themselves in these different opportunities more easily when they can experience it. Yeah, thanks, Ginny. Rob, through Zone 6, we have started a program with Lethbridge College for dual credit. I was shocked at the massive parent support begging for students to be a part of the program. Absolutely, there is some serious demand out there. Scott Bailey, our local tourism ministry, is so ready to welcome in students and also to give generously their time to help build employability skills in our students. Absolutely, Scott. And we're finding that a lot. There are so many people, including the members of the TAPE committee, that are willing to help out because they know they're helping speak into young people's lives. And so don't be afraid to ask if you're in school divisions, because there's lots of willing partners out there willing to help out students. So I will turn it over to Colleen for the overview of the day.
Thanks, Jason. So today we're going to be looking at not so much the TAVE strategic framework, but if you're new to this session, the TAVE strategic framework will, there'll be links to it at the end of the presentation. And really it serves as the foundation of what we are up to and what we're trying to showcase. There'll also be some links to TAVE resources for you. And today we have a slight change in our Alberta Stories of Practice. We will not be hearing from the welding rodeo. Instead, we'll be hearing from Palliser with their off-campus education and their career pathway programs. And so we're really looking forward and excited to share with you today these 4 stories of practice. And if we could just have a minute to have a look at the next one, please, Patrick, so before we get into our stories. So in terms of this is the heart of the strategic framework that you see before you. And so our vision is to work together with everyone across the province and inspire Alberta's youth to pursue skilled trades and technologies as a viable career pathway. Now, some of the districts across the province are in fact using this model already. And so we're seeing aspects of explore, engage, and experience woven into their plans as well. So if we could just have a look at the next one, please, Patrick. So in terms of the resources that we want to let you know about today, this is the recording link from the first session. Now this link is temporary at this point. It will be up, Patrick will have it up for about a month, and then we will merge the link and the recording into the learning guide we'll be posting on the CAS website. But in case you wanted to have an early peek as a participant or TAVE member, there it is for you. And then in terms of the session 1 Alberta Stories of Practice, we have all of the contact information. So if you look at that link and you think, gee, I really want to know a little bit about Try a Trade, or I want to know about what Parkland is doing relative to building futures, then you can access any of those people by email or by giving them a quick call. So we have those hot linked for you as well. And with that, Jason, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thanks, Colleen. Appreciate it. I know you're here to hear about this and not us speak, so we'll get right to it with our first presentation of the day. Our first presentation will be East Central Alberta Catholic's mobile CTS/CTF trailer implementation story. East Central Alberta Catholic School Division is located in Central Alberta. The division serves several communities, including Camrose, Stettler, and Wainwright, and provides education for students from kindergarten to grade 12. Its mission is to provide a quality Catholic education that fosters spiritual, intellectual, physical, and social growth in its students. It aims to create a learning environment that is inclusive, respectful, and supportive of all students, regardless of their background or abilities. Glenn Nausad, Superintendent, and Tara McMillan, Principal, will share the celebrations and challenges of implementing a mobile CTS/CTF trailer to address facility and local contextual program challenges in small rural communities. So take it away, Glenn and Tara. Thank you for presenting.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank CAS and the TAVE community for providing the opportunity for our division to share our practices and experiences with regards to our CTS and CTF trailer within our school division. The link or the QR code that's in the left-hand corner there provides access to the resources that we're going to be referencing throughout our presentation today. So Patrick, Vanna, next slide, please. So a brief overview of what we're going to be talking today and covering is the team members that I have on the presentation today are myself, Tara, who's the principal down at Christ the King in Stettler, and my deputy superintendent, Kelly Ehalt, who is responsible for equipping and managing the logistics with regards to the schedule and moving of the trailer to each one of the locations throughout our school division. We're going to do a brief overview of the division profile, but before I get to that, I'll describe the team members. As I previously indicated, the QR code in the left-hand corner will provide my detailed contact information if people wish to follow up on that. I've been fortunate enough to spend my entire career in Catholic education across the province of Alberta, from Fort McMurray to Drayton Valley to Leduc to Cold Lake, Bonnyville, and last but not least, Wainwright or the Central Alberta community. So I've got a pretty diverse experience and background across the province in a variety of different regions, and especially with regards to providing diverse programming for kids. Next slide. Kelly Ehalt, as I had mentioned, is relatively new to the division. He comes to us from Brooks and from the Christ Redeemer school division down south. And Kelly, again, brings a very diverse background in CTS and CTF, and his expertise coincided very well with the school division's purchase of the CTS trailer, and his background and experience. We're really excited to see the possibilities that are going to come out of that trailer. Next. And last but not least, our Energizer Bunny. Tara has spent her entire career here in East Central Catholic. She is responsible for or a part of that group of teachers that started the new school down in Stettler, Christ the King. It's a K-9 school. She's a multitasking mom, a multitasking teacher, and last but not least, she manages to also oversee that school. She's a very passionate educator, and we're fortunate to have her. Next. As previously mentioned, I'm not sure where that profile came from, but our school division, it's pretty diverse and spread out. It consists of the communities of Vermilion, Wainwright, Provost, Castor, Stettler, and we are unique in the fact that we also have a multi-programming part to our school division, which consists of homeschooling, online schooling, and a blended program that we host out of Vermilion, Sherwood Park, and Lethbridge. So we not only have students in this region, but we have students across the entire province that we provide a variety of different programming for. Golden. Awesome. Thanks, Patrick. So just there's a QR code there for the quick overview. That'll give you a more of a precept or impression of the trailer in terms of the logistics of it, opening, closing, etc. Before I go into some detailed logistics about the trailer, I'd like to recognize the former superintendent, Charlie McCormick, former Deputy Superintendent Dwayne Zarichny, who's down in the south now, and previous board members that had the foresight in terms of seeing the need for the school division to purchase the trailer, equip it, especially for our small rural schools that lack the facilities. So some of the considerations that, are important to take into consider, before you go down this path is it's obviously a provincially tendered process due to the cost of the trailer. Our particular investment at this point was close to $1.2 million. The rationale behind the trailer was, again, to provide CTF and CTS facility opportunities for some of our small rural schools that just aren't equipped, and they're cost prohibitive with regards to building those infrastructure items onto those schools. Additionally, to provide some program diversification in these communities. And also, we're fortunate within this division to have an agreement with Lakeland College. So we're really starting to explore opportunities where not only within our schools, but potentially within the community, we can start to offer dual credit programming through the use of this facility. And as I just previously mentioned, we're actively exploring how community members can use this space in each one of the communities. And then last but not least, we're going to explore, the total cost of ownership versus, building unique facilities at each individual site. Next. So if you're interested in putting together an RFP with creating a division-specific mobile trailer, I provided a link that provides an overview of the RFP that was submitted by the school division. And as I previously mentioned, this RFP and proposal was submitted prior to Kelly or I coming to the school division. So we've provided a link that we're willing to share with everybody in regards to the factors that we took into consideration when we were pricing out a CTS trailer. Next. So the successful tendering company was an Alberta company. They have locations in both BC and Alberta. It was Intercontinental Truck Body based out of Coaldale, Alberta, and that's in southern Alberta. If I'm correct, it's just outside of Lethbridge. And again, there's a link there that'll take you to the website of that particular company. Next. So the physical dimensions of the trailer are as follows. They're 50, it's prior to the trailer being expanded and the stairs added to the trailer, it's 52 feet long. The unloaded weight of the trailer is around 24,600 kilograms. So it's important taking that into consideration with regards to the logistics of a parking pad or a dedicated space where this trailer can be equipped. And then that's the dry weight of the trailer. There's nothing in that trailer at that particular point in time. Next. The trailer is 62 feet long with the stairs attached to the trailer itself. And when it's completely expanded and the sides are taken out, it provides approximately about 1,000 square feet of open instructional space that, again, addressing that lack of space in some of my older schools. So this provides, a sandbox for a variety of different types of programming. Next. So I was fortunate from the two guys that we deal with, Matt and Rob from Intercontinental, they graciously provided some construction images of the trailer. And again, as previously mentioned, this trailer has been built in Coaldale, Alberta, and it's quite an extensive process. There's a lot of moving parts, literally, with regards to the design of this trailer. Next. As previously mentioned, the trailer slide outs, when they're deployed, there's about 1,000 square feet of instructional space. And what is also built into the interior of this space is the ability to attach 6 workstation tables that are metal or aluminum fabricated tables that provide a workspace for a variety of different types of program offerings that can be offered in that space. Next. An important design consideration when looking at a trailer is definitely identifying your electrical and ventilation requirements that align to the program offerings that you potentially are choosing to offer out of this trailer. We've taken the approach that we're closely looking at the local context of each one of the community that we move these trailers around in and aligning some of those programs to meet those needs in each one of the communities. Next. Extremely important consideration. Both Kelly and I walked into this project when the trailer was delivered to the school division, and what we found out, and I was unaware of this, and it's an important note that if you take anything away from this presentation, is when you're identifying the electrical requirements for the trailer, whether it's single phase or triple phase, if you're looking at doing in-house welding programs that have very specific electrical requirements, first and foremost, you've got to take that into account, which will change the cost of the build of the trailer, and then also the ventilation requirements that are required in the trailer itself. One of the items that we found out after the fact, and we re-equipped or changed the configuration of the trailer from triple phase to single phase, was because of the costs involved with moving the trailer from location to location. We were informed if it was triple phase, every time that we moved the trailer, we would require an engineer to sign off on the movement of the trailer. And it just wasn't cost effective for us to be able to do that. So now we're designing some of our other programs based around having single phase instead of having triple phase power in the trailer. Kelly will highlight some of the parking and pad logistics that need to be taken into consideration if you're going down this path with regards to designing a trailer that you're going to be moving from school to school. Next.
Oh,
Thanks, Glenn, and good morning, everybody. If I could just get you to go back one slide there for me. There's some key points or bullets there that you'll see, and I just wanted to follow what Glenn is saying in regards to the trailer pad. There are some of those bullets that are extremely important, and we'll draw your attention later on in the presentation more so to the community bylaws. And as well, you know, building this area so that it has that easy access where it would sit alone. Obviously, you don't want car parking anywhere near it or in front of it. And snow removal was something else that we learned from our experience. Of course, when you're picking up or moving that trailer during the winter, really, really important to have that pad cleared and ready for it. Just a little bit of something for all of you to know as well. The asphalt that is laid down in the parking pad area, it's recommended that it be about 100 to 150 millimeters in thickness. And it would be an asphalt area of about 1,100 to 1,500 square meters. And that pad alone would price you approximately from $50,000 to $60,000 in preparation. Okay, back to Glenn. Next slide.
I need you to open.
Then you're on mute. Sorry. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Another unique situation that both Kelly and I experienced in the school division is prior to us coming to the school division, there was a project submitted and the school division was successfully applied for a new school in the community of Provost. And as you can see in this diagram off to the right, literally the design of the school itself took into consideration that the school division is purchasing a CTS trailer. So in that upper left-hand corner, you can see that the parking pad as a part of the design of the school was built into it. The one item that was unique in this situation, if you choose to take this approach, it's extremely important that you don't negate the CTS facilities that are located in the building itself. Literally, the design of this school did not take into consideration. There is a room, it's called a CTS room, but it's a standard classroom that does not have the electrical or any kind of unique parameters with regards to offering CTS or CTF programming requirements. So basically, the ability of this school to do some unique CTS and CTF programming is dependent on having the trailer at this location. So this is the first type of project design that I've been involved in that has taken this approach, and I think it's unique. So there's some variables you need to take into consideration. I would not abdicate or remove the ability to have CTS programming within the school and unique facilities that you need, even if you're using a CTS trailer outside your facility. Next. So the context of this next community that we're going to be sharing with this was, again, another learning experience. Never assume that every one of your communities are going to embrace the use of the trailer. And it's an important stakeholder engagement learning experience. Next. So in the community of Stettler, we primarily moved the trailer between Stettler, Pastor, and Provost due to the size of the school and what each one of those school communities are equipped with. And when we got to the community of Stettler, we ran into some assumptions that we made, and it was, you know, a learning experience on our behalf. We end up engaging the local town community and the public school division, Clearview, with regards to exploring opportunities that we could collaborate with the trail, what kind of opportunities were for each schools, what could be done in the evening. And what we ran into was some local community bylaws that restricted where the trailer could go. So that was important in terms of us determining where the parking pad was going to go. And then ultimately some local community bylaws that restricted the length of time a semi-trailer could be parked anywhere within the community. So not only did it have to be not in a visible location, but we were restricted on the timelines that we could have the trailer parked at the school, which had tremendous implications with regards to the scheduling of the trailer in other parts of our school division. Next. So I provided a QR code of an example of the bylaw that we need to navigate. We're still seeking opportunities to collaborate with that community to try to mend some of those bridges where we have the opportunity to have more flexibility when we can bring the trailer into the community and how long we can leave it. Because again, our focus is not only about our local programming for our individual school, but what kind of interaction that we can provide in the local community, especially in the context of dual credit programming. Next. This is one of those situations where you might be laughing with us or at us. The electrical requirements, as I previously indicated, are extremely important that align to your programming. And it'll be mostly those higher end kind of trades, like, for example, with welding, that you'll have to reflect on what type of electrical requirements are equipped when the trailer is designed. So whether you're single phase, triple phase, where the outlets are, how many outlets, and what type of ventilation requirements that you have for the trailer. Another big item with regards to the electrical requirements for the trailer is the ventilation, the heating, the cooling, which will determine or influence the overall cost of the trailer. Another obvious item, which you need to take into consideration, is the receptacles and the connection to the trailer itself. In this example, are located at the front of the trailer. And as you can see, and you'll see through some of the diagrams that we provided, the trailer is literally, the location, how it's parked to the building is extremely important because it's going to dictate the cable length that you require to connect to the building. And that could also include whether you're going to have what kind of telecom communications that you're going to have with the trailer, what type of network requirements, whether it's over a Cat6 fiber cable or wireless. There's important items you need to take into account. If you've got older buildings like we're experiencing, it's really important that you get a quote on the interior of the building where these power requirements are going to be terminated, because your costs could change depending on what part of the building that you place it on. So don't assume, make sure you do your homework on this one so that you have a trailer that is cost effective and sustainable. Next. And Kelly will take an overview of some of the relocation logistics. Kelly?
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. Excuse me. No need to play that little video that you'll see on your screen. That's simply the semi or rig backing up to get ready to load the trailer. I was here in my first month with ECACS, and Glenn was able to baptize me in the relocation processes. And so I'll speak to you a little bit about that. What we do here at ECACS is we move the trailer 3 times in the school year. I try to build the move around trimesters, so that each of our 3 rural communities have an opportunity to teach and educate in the CTF, CTS strands for that third of the year. Also, of course, it says there 1 hour for, takedown, and also 1 hour for setup. That's pretty tight because I know what I'm doing now. Before, it would probably take us 2.5 hours. But once you get used to the process, of course, it goes a lot quicker. In regards to some of the moving costs, it's important to know, and I'll talk to this in a little bit, but to have an intercontinental truck representative or staff member being present for the move costs about $1,500 for the day. The trucking services that we use cost on average, again, this depends on the distance of your journey or you're traveling for the schools, but anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000. And also the transportation company must have a $2 million insurance, something for you to be aware of if you're looking into that as well. It's really important to have that qualified staff present and on site. His name is Rob from ITB, and he's worth his weight in gold. He's designed, he's engineered it, he knows exactly how this all operates, and so it's really, really important to have him on site so that, of course, nothing is damaged or broken. Next slide, please. And this is the Rob fellow I was telling you about. He does come from ITB. And as you can see just from that screen, there is a URL code there for you as well to log on. Have a look at that trailer setup manual. It's not overly complex, but it is important to have that worker there, or the representative, because there is a process, or if you will, kind of moving forward, this has to be done first, followed by the next processes, and then finally, it would be the electrical shutdown of the trailer and ready for transporting. And so the manual is quite extensive, but it's something that if you get that rep out, you don't have to worry about too much. So it's again, worthy to do. Next slide, please. So currently ECACS, you can see there, it's about a $2,000 for registration and insurance. And also, we're basing the courses that we're offering right now based on student interest. Something else you should take into consider is, what is your staff skill sets? What are their interests in teaching and their ability to teach? Keeping in mind safety, not only for the teacher, but for all the students they serve. And so that's something you do want to inquire about, and maybe even take a look at professional development opportunities to help train your teachers in preparation before offering those courses. This is really important. You'll also notice there we have local community context, and there's been a couple times now where in our communities, user groups such as the CWL have been able to come in, and they've used the trailer themselves for some evening courses or classes and just get-togethers, and that's always encouraging too, to celebrate the community, the school division, as well as the CTS trailer. It's really good promotional item. So what we're offering here in the school division is woodworking. It's a junior high more so program. We have one school that's in Provost, of course, which is K-12. So they do some of the more complex woodworking projects. As well, we offer small engine mechanics, where I believe we have 12 small engines there, Briggs and Stratton, where the kids are disassembling and reassembling and learning about mechanics in that process. And recently we've just added leatherworking. And so students are building belts and purses and coasters and all of those kinds of details. We're also looking right now, I'm planning and spending money at virtual welding units or stations. And so that each of our 6 stations could have that attached as well, and learning the welding process without having to deal with too much gases or the fumes that it does provide. So that's something I'm looking forward to getting into as well. Next slide, please. I've taught, as Glenn said earlier, I've taught 17 years of CTF, CTS courses in construction technologies, and I loved it. It's a pleasure to teach, but I think the joy comes from seeing the students with hands-on learning. And I'm not saying that, like, I had a large percentage of our academic students take the courses as well, but it's those students that were, from rural communities as well, where they're used to the farm life, working with their hands. They come in and they build these amazing projects, and they really flourish in this kind of an environment. So it's a celebration of learning. And I also think it offers a wide range of students that availability to go in there and do things that they've never done before. And so that's the joy and a real celebration for us as a school division. And that's something for you to consider if you're going to go down this road, is that flexibility of programming. Next slide, please. So some of the opportunities that you can see are listed there for you. And I was just going to kind of spend a little bit of time just quickly to talk to you about trade exploration. As Glenn mentioned earlier, there's opportunities for credits, dual credit programming, and this CTS trailer would serve that purpose really, really well. There's also, of course, post-secondary credits that you could look into as a school division and try to attach or tie some of that into your grade 11 and 12 programming. And again, that's a win for our students. And I mentioned it already, but I always keep coming back to that program diversity, the different things that you can offer for all of your students, no matter their learning abilities. And it's just the joy of teaching the students in those key areas. Next slide, please. So some of the challenges, there are things to be aware of course, when you're working with the logistics of moving and setting up. Sustainability is number one. We're going through with you today the reality of the costs, and as well taking a look a little bit, as I mentioned, with the staff members and their training. You may have to spend a little extra money sending them to professional development opportunities and certain courses. Class sizes. be mindful that this space has 6 working stations, and I believe it would be comfortable for about 4 students per station. So that limit of around 24 students is important for the safety of all the students and staff members as well. The trailer maintenance, the scheduling, as I mentioned, is important. Glenn's already touched on the bylaws. Winterization is a big one. I've talked with some ITB reps about the possibility of including a rollout tarp similar to what we have with our campers. And that's something that they're going to look into, but it's currently not part of their design. And so when you go to move these trailers, you're up on top with ice picks and shovels sliding around trying to knock all that snow and ice off the trailer extensions. So as you can see there, we've built some tarps. We're draping that over the top, and then we fasten that down so that it's a quick snow and ice removal system. And that's something important to consider as well if you're going down this road. And finding certified volunteers. I know Tara, actually, when she's coming up and speaking about it, may touch upon it, but it's always awesome to reach out to community agencies, businesses. For example, with the mechanics part of it, to have a mechanic come in from one of the car dealerships and donate or volunteer some time, or you could pay an honorarium for it. But it's really valuable that you get people in there with the certification, as well as journeyman tickets. So that's a great opportunity and possibility of connecting with your community more so. So I'll hand it over to Tara now, and she'll go through some of her school experiences and talk to you about what's going on there at Christ King in Stettler. Over to you, Tara.
Perfect. Thanks, Kelly. So hello, everyone. I am Tara, and I'm the principal at Christ King Catholic School in Stettler. Like Glenn said, we are a K-9 school, and so I'm here today just to kind of give you the ground look at the trailer and how it's used. Just because we know once it's put into action, there's always some bumps along the way. So I'm going to talk about the benefits versus some of the challenges that we've seen over the last couple of years. So previous to the trailer coming into the district.
Tara, sorry to interrupt, but can we go to the next slide? That's my fault. I forgot to announce that.
This is the right one. We're good.
Oh, okay. You're good?
Yeah, go back. Sorry. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So before the trailer came in, we offered, obviously we have to offer CTF for our grades 7 to 9 students, but our options were limited to more the drama, the arts, that kind of side of things. We couldn't offer industrial arts other than a very watered down version of them. So I often had kids in the parking lot with woodworking and things like that. It was not exactly the safest thing you've ever seen, but it was the only way we could offer it. So with the trailer, it's obviously brought in a lot of additional options for our students. We are growing it as a district, and so right now we've only implemented woodworking and leatherwork as well as small engines, but that is more than what we have been able to do in the past. It gives us the facility rather than obviously adding an addition onto my building, because we don't have a shop here. And so that's kind of nice to have that option. I know Kelly had spoken about class sizes. We can fit 18 to 24 students comfortably within the trailer. Now, keep in mind that those are my grade 7 to 9 students, so they're not full grown bodies as of yet. So if you're looking at more of a high school, it's probably less. And the beauty of it is it also comes with all the tools needed for that specific option that we are offering, which leads me into my next point, that I don't have to store them at my school. We all know storage is a very lacking thing within our buildings. We'd rather put students in places rather than have storage closets. And so the fact that the tools come and go with the trailer is really, really nice. It also, when it rolls in, a great advertising technique within our building, something that I don't really have to do much with. People, as they drive by, see the trailer. It is a beautiful looking trailer. And so I often get questions from community members just in terms of what it is, what we do in it, and it generates a lot of interest within our building. As well as I've even had neighbor schools asked to come tour the facility and bring their classes in to show them, you know, a different option rather than just the shops that are at the high school. So that's kind of neat. It also leads us into the program delivery choices. So we don't just use it for CTF. When it is with us, it provides additional classroom space. So sometimes my 5-6s will go out and they'll either do, drama or something where they have a bit more space to move around in, because there's not chairs or anything in it that need to be moved. Now, the only other thing that leads to program delivery choices is that it does have to be district supported. So to bring in another option, like Kelly said, he's exploring those options for us. And so we do need district support to bring in another option if we so choose, just to make sure that we have all the tools and items that are needed. In terms of challenges, one of the main ones that we struggle with a little bit is just finding community members to facilitate certain courses. Obviously, because I haven't had the facility prior to the trailer, as well as we don't have it year round. I don't have the teachers on staff that necessarily know their small mechanics or anything like that. And so we look to the community to bring in someone who has more of a background knowledge in that area. So that does get a little tricky, just because school hours aren't always conducive with trades working people hours. They can't always just drop everything and come over at 2 o'clock to give us 40 minutes of CTF time. And so that gets a little tricky sometimes. Now we do pay hourly for anybody who agrees to come. But sometimes finding someone can be a challenge. And then again, when you're scheduling, you kind of have to make sure that you're scheduling your junior high classes around knowing when the trailer's coming to you for the following year. So we typically have the trailer from like December until March. That's typically our timeline here at Christ King. And so I need to make sure that when I'm scheduling junior high, I'm scheduling CTF time at a decent time where we can maybe find a volunteer, as well as giving them a chance to sorry, I just saw the chat pop up. So, oh, no worries, sorry. So then in terms of maintenance, that's the last challenge we have, just in terms of sometimes the trailer doesn't always come back to us in the condition that it leaves us. And so sometimes it's frustrating when it's being shared between so many facilities. You're missing parts, or something has been broken and hasn't been replaced. So that's one thing that my teachers experience too. So that's what I got. The next 2 slides are just pictures, and then that's what I've got.
Okay, thank you, Tara. I appreciate it.
All right.
And I will, sorry, Glenn, for you to finish off. Sorry, we just got to keep moving here.
Yep, you betcha. So on this slide, you guys, I've got Matt's contact information. Like Kelly had indicated, very knowledgeable guy, customizes these kind of trailers in the industry space, good working knowledge. And this prototype, in terms of our deployment within the school division, as the success is directly related to his accessibility and willingness to work with us. Next slide. I just got a couple there that I want to reference. I spent 22 years in Lakeland Catholic and was surrounded by Northern Lights, who would have another perspective with regards to how CTS trailers can work within a school division, and they've done it extensively for a number of years. Next slide. I've had the opportunity to work with some of my colleagues in the States, and one of the biggest school divisions in the United States, if not North America, is Region 13. The dynamics in Texas are very similar to Alberta from the perspective of a large population, small rural communities, and how school divisions are looking to diversify programming in each one of these communities, not only for high school students, but also for community members in the area of those hardcore trades, medical areas, technical areas. They're very innovative. They have a number of different trailers. I highly recommend, if you're going to go into some detail with regards to what trailer spaces can do in partnerships with big companies, that's one of the first places that you should look. I've included a slide deck of the registration fees that they have for some of these programs for junior high school students, which can range from thousands of dollars up to close to $10,000. So there's a sustainability item that's built into it, and they've been in this field for probably close to 15 years And the last slide, Q&A. If anybody has any questions, we'll try our best to answer any of those questions.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Tara and Kelly. Appreciate the presentation. What we'll do maybe is we'll just leave questions for the break because we're kind of a little behind right now. But I do want to just say I want to give a massive shout out to ITB as well. And we in the South have a Pathways partnership that we work in conjunction with business and industry, and ITB is front and center, and they have been incredible supporters of this work. So I just want to say that I want to second the ITB piece for sure. They're great and dedicated to this work, but also, of course, the dedication from East Central Catholic coming through here in terms of this is a massive undertaking. That is clear, and clearly you see the benefit in it. And thank you, Tara, for sharing that with you about your students and things like that. It's so important, and you'll see it. You've seen it last week. You'll see it throughout this week. Equity and making sure that students in rural areas get access to trades is extremely important. So thank you for the work you're doing and the dedication, and clearly the logistical. I was going to say nightmare, but it's not really a nightmare. You know what I mean? The logistical issues that you have to go through to get this done. It's obviously worth it because you're seeing that benefit for kids. So thank you for that presentation. Appreciate it. Next up, we have Grande Prairie. Sorry, I got to get my notes here because I'm all right. Comes from Grande Prairie Catholic Schools, which is a district that serves over 5,400 students, in Grande Prairie and surrounding communities. Grande Prairie Catholic operates 15 schools, which include 3 French immersion schools, 4 rural schools, 3 high schools, and an outreach school. The district enjoys many positive local partnerships with neighboring districts, as well as strong connection with our city's post-secondary institution, Northwestern Polytechnic. Sharing this story is Roger Locke, who is also a TABE member and a director of teaching and learning with Grande Prairie Catholic and oversees a variety of alternative education, including campus learning. As an educator with a passion for personalized student learning opportunities, he continues to enjoy his role as a Zone 1 representative of TAVE. Joining him is Jacques Lesurf, and I'm sorry, Jacques, if I messed up your last name, but Jacques is a CTS and CTF teacher at St. John Paul II Catholic High School. Jacques began his welding training in British Columbia and continued to work towards earning welding credentials once he moved to Alberta. Jacques holds a Bachelor of Education and a Red Seal endorsed Journey Person Certificate. Although Jacques' primary training interests are in welding, he also has extensive skills and knowledge of the automotive and construction trades. Jacques' passion led him to the welding pathway pilot you will all learn about today in this story of practice. Take it away, Jacques and Roger.
All right, can you guys hear us okay? We'll just start with that maybe. Perfect. So today we'll primarily focus on Jacques speaking to you. If you hear a little bit of grinding in the back, that is because we are in the learning classroom that's adjacent to the actual welding lab. And depending on time and how we do today, we might even wander into that lab and you'll see Jacques students actually in action in their class today. So we'll see how that goes. Grande Prairie Catholic has a few different off-campus opportunities, and I was going to talk a little bit more about that, but I know we're a little bit stretched on time, and today it's really about the welding pathway, so we'll skip forward to that. And most of this will have Jacques telling you a little bit about how we got this off the ground. So the slide you see now is St. John Paul II, so that's where this program is housed. It is an on-site program, but I like to say it's an on-site program with an off-campus flavor. So JP2 is actually designed with a focus on fine arts, and you can see that angle of the school shows the theater that's built onto the school. However, even though we are fine arts passionate, the trades are also near and dear to our heart living in Northern Alberta. Next slide. So why welding pathways? You'll get to probably feel it and see it when Jacques starts to speak, but it was largely based on the passion of this teacher and then the need. So you can see on the slide there, and I'm not telling anyone as part of this committee or this audience anything they don't know with this, but skilled trades are in high demand in Alberta, and that need is just on the uprise. So when Jacques actually pitched this idea to us, with the background I picked up on year 1 in TAVE, and then knowing these stats in Alberta, this one was definitely something we wanted to get behind and support Jacques on. Next slide. I will now turn it over. Jacques will be speaking to us for most of the rest of the presentation. And we'll start with a little bit of background on him so you understand why he's kind of the perfect person to do this. And then he'll tell you about the program that he is building.
All right, so I've had the opportunity to teach at St. John Paul II for the last 5 years. And as you can see in that picture, we started with a bare bones facility. We got occupancy late in the year. And so it was quite the effort trying to get things rolling. I was lucky that I had a great group of students that first year. And we put in a lot of time and effort into actually building our shop space. So I started working in trades about 20 years ago through construction industry. And then I got into apprenticeship at a machine shop and I got my Red Seal ticket working through there. And then I've worked in various industries like truck and trailer mechanic, auto mechanic. I've done some carpentry work as well, with obviously my heavy focus on machining and welding. So it's been a really great opportunity for me to develop my skills and knowledge and be able to pursue these opportunities with my students to have this brought to them in a real world trades-based standard. So I'm very pleased with this program we got running here. We can go to the next slide, please. I just wanted to give a quick little overview on a couple of our other options that we have. So obviously I've run the fabrication and construction program. As our school has grown in size, we've got an additional construction teacher now. And then we've also got our foods, cosmetology, open tech studies, and outdoor education. But this one here that's highlighted in bold, this is the second program that I decided I wanted to try to run. Last year when I presented this first period welding, it was a bit of touch and go as to whether or not it would get approved. So I threw this together and then luckily I had both approved. So I've had a lot of students over the last 5 years that have been expressing a very keen interest in auto mechanics and more specific home-based repairs and techniques that they could pursue. So we've developed this home and auto care program. And this is kind of a cherry-picked set of modules that I've taken from the curriculum, 5 of them from mechanics and 5 of them from construction. And I run them based off of my students' interests. So I had a high occupancy class. The vast majority of students wanted to lean into the mechanic side. And as such, that is our focus. So we're doing a lot of basic hand tools and material into vehicle service and care, learning the basics about engines, vehicle maintenance, and buying and selling vehicles. So just trying to focus on teaching those very translatable and real world type of skills. So with that aside, we'll jump back into the welding pathways. As you can see on the screen there are 15 30-level credits. For those of you that are familiar with the high school credit system, this doesn't take a lot of explanation, but if you're not familiar with this, 30 level is equivalent to the grade 12. And these particular credits are actually dual credits. So these would be what they have as their building blocks for that first period training in the welding apprenticeship program. There are 4 additional modules that are practicum based, and these are to allow students that extra time to develop those skills and get the hands-on portion. Now, luckily in our facility, we can provide all the hands-on portion in shop during our training. So we will hopefully not have to use those practicums and we'll focus on our 15 primary credits. These are all explicitly or directly linked with the ILMs that are designated by the Alberta Industry and Training, by AIT. We can go to the next slide, please. I have to apologize for the bells and announcements in the background here. We're in an active running school, so some background noise. So just to touch on a couple of the final examination portions here. Obviously, this is an apprenticeship-based program and we're not watering it down. And so students need to be able to reach these basic competencies to pass examination. So their final examination is going to be comprised of 6 different position and process welds and 1 cutting test as well. And then there are up to 2 theory exams, depending on how the program is run. Some facilities run an in-house examination, and then there's the AIT examination as well. So we are definitely working really hard to set these kids up to find success on the final exam. I'm not teaching entirely to focus on the test because we have a lot of other curriculum to meet as well. So there's a lot of material we cover that is not in the final exam, such as pipe welding, aluminum welding, and metal core arc welding. So just a quick overview on our typical day. I hope I'm not going too fast here. I'm trying to make good time. So we start our program every day, 8:40 a.m. and we run till 10:30. It's a bit of a time crunch. Over the 10 months of the school year, this gives us 331 hours. So if you were to crunch the numbers and do the math, this program is intended to be delivered in 375 hours. However, with the student body that we have here, they come in with other skills and abilities. So we have condensed this to 331 hours because we're not focusing on the basics of reading, writing, basic math comprehension. These are skills that they've already got going in their other programs, their other core courses. I've also started offering after hours welding time just to make sure we can really get those practice sessions in. That ranges from 2 to 4 hours weekly. That might increase as the semester goes on. It's a 40-60 splits depending on the time of the year that we're working. At the beginning of the year, that was probably a 70-30 split, 70% classroom time, 30% welding lab. And as we're progressing, we're about at 40-60 right now. So it's a pretty good amount of time in the shop with a fairly heavy focus on the theory as well. Next slide, please. Just to give a quick rundown on our welding lab here, we have 8 dedicated welding bays. These have their own multi-process welders. The first period of welding is primarily focused on wire feed operation. So it's going to be mostly focused on solid wire with a touch on flux core and metal core wires. So it's a lot of that similar process. However, our machines, we can also run TIG and stick. So for my fabrication classes that I'm still running, we have a focus on other welding processes as well. Our 2 cutting bays are where we spend a lot of time doing our oxyacetylene cutting and oxyacetylene welding. However, they can also be used as welding bays. I've got 2 additional welders, so we can have up to 10 bays running with welders. We have the joined classroom here where we can have all of our theory portion of the course. And the big thing that I really focus on here, as I've stated before, is we try to really match industry standards and expectations. I have a high focus on teaching these kids skills that will be directly beneficial to them in industry. As much as I appreciate the artistic side of fabrication and metalworking, my focus has always been more so trades-based standards. We have good quality equipment in our shop. We're really fortunate in that we had a good startup budget. This school has been operating for 5 years and our machines have been holding up well. We run Miller machines in our program and have a variety of other metal shaping and forming tools as well. Actually, just one quick touch on the lab design. As was stated in the mobile trailer, ventilation is a very big thing. So we have a dual system for our ventilation. We've got our welding vents on the wall, which are connected to air filter units. And we've got our welding hoods, which are connected to a rooftop scrubber. So we've got a 2 system of ventilation and air control. This is the equipment needed specifically for the welding program, the first period training. So having a radiograph or an automated cutting system is definitely highly recommended, as it will cut down on prep time significantly for the students. You can see I've got a picture of a radiograph that I'm in the process of setting up in its designated location. The next thing is the guided bend jig. Now, this is not necessarily going to make or break your program. However, the students will have to pass a destructive test on their weld at the end of the period. And as such, I want my students to have that opportunity to witness these destructive tests take place in the shop. And also, because we're doing our final examination in-house, this is something that I have agreed to provide for the AIT representative who will come. So you can see there's a picture. I purchased a 30-ton air-over hydraulic press, and I'm in the process of reconstructing that to meet our specific needs. Additional items that you would need with the focus on the pipe welding would be a pipe beveler and a pipe positioner or spinner. So these are some, I would say, large ticket items. They can range upwards of about $5,000 to $20,000 each, depending on which way you go. So these are fairly big equipment costs and requirements to run this welding program. Next slide, please. As I've stated before, I focus on trades-based standards, but I also have a primary focus on safety standards. So we work really, really hard to develop a safety first standard in the shop here. I'm really working hard to try to develop a culture of safety to make it not something that can be overlooked or walked by. It's something that is going to be natural for these kids. So we're developing shop safety routines, and we're just really focusing on maintaining the long life of these young students as they get into these trades. There's a lot of hazards involved with trades work, and I put a big focus on safety. So we're really fortunate in that we have good quality equipment here. So our ventilation matches industry requirements for maintaining air quality. We've got our safety guards, we've got our welding shields, we've got all of our PPE. It's a pretty easy thing to overlook. However, it's something that is very much should be first and foremost in any trades-based program. Next slide, please. A couple big obstacles to overcome with this program. This was something that we kind of cooked up last year, and everything sounds great on paper or in your head, but once you start to get it into actuality, there's a lot of obstacles. One of the biggest things, as is the case for most obstacles in our world, is just funding accessibility. This program is not cheap at all to run. I don't know if you are familiar with current steel costs, but they've gone up about 300% in the last couple of years. So just the cost of running the basics for our program has gone up significantly. Gas costs are very high. Bottle rentals are very expensive. This is definitely not a cheap program to run. I have been able to increase our course fee as a tuition fee of sorts for this program. However, we're kind of going to feel this out for the first year and see what our true operating costs are going to be. Hours, as I mentioned before, we're running 331 hours. However, this is anticipated to be 375 hours for this course. So just having a condensed program obviously increases that focus on maintaining good work ethics and maintaining a good clip in the shop. We don't want to be falling behind. The next thing is the technology availability. As I stated, we are very fortunate. We've got a very nice facility here with good quality equipment. However, this is something that equipment wears out, and the welders that I spent $2,000 on 5 years ago are now $3,500. And the larger welder that was $10,000 is now $18,000. So having the funds available to replace technology in the future. I saw a question in the chat related to course fees. My typical shop fee for my fabrication course is $100, which I don't believe has been increased in the last 10 years. And the course fee that we have for this program was $300 per semester per student. However, for this pilot program, we're doing a bit of a financial relief of sorts, in that we only charge them $300 for the course fee entirely. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but to take this pre-apprenticeship course to a college or a tech facility would run upwards of a couple $1,000s to pay for those materials. So we're doing a fairly affordable program here. Okay. We're going to move along, jump into theory. So we have very strict lessons that are based entirely on the ILMs as per AIT. We do a lot of very deep learning here. It's not superficial, and it's not watered down in any way. My students are ranging from ages 15 to 18. And so they have to really work hard to develop these study habits to maintain this level of education. I tried to transition a lot of these theories into direct real world applications and have hands-on demonstrations. And we do a lot of formative as well as summative assessments. So looking at learning that is for their benefit and learning ways to assess them to have that final grade take place. That takes place through self-tests and final tests. Go to the next slide, please. So the hands-on learning portion, we've talked about it a fair bit, so I won't get into it too much. But just to note that we have a lot of demonstrations, obviously, for various processes and positions and procedures. This is where we can really start to apply that theory. So we get a lot of our time in on the shop to develop those theories and make that concrete learning. The time on the tools is the most valuable in this course. This is where they will be a welder or they will struggle. So if they don't have that time, it's something that is really going to negatively affect them. We develop our skills and technique through the shop time, and welding has a lot of operator individuality in that they can run the process as per their requirements to get the desired results. Next slide, please. So post-secondary partnerships, this is something that I've been trying to develop over the last year and a half to have a bit of a established connection before running the program. It's been a bit of a struggle in that I think there might have been a slight sense of a competitive aspect for my program, and that I don't want it to be deemed that I'm trying to take away from post-secondary institutions. I'm trying to create a increased student body for second and third period welding. So we've been able to team up with Northwest Polytech, and we've had some opportunities to collaborate and to take the students to site and to work with their welders for the day, which is a great opportunity. And I hope we can continue to develop this partnership as we move forward. Next slide, please. All right, I know we're tight on time. I'm just going to state that my community connections have been minimal to date because I'm the type of person where I like to bring something that is real, something that is concrete, and something that is successful in order to try to create a connection. I didn't want to be going to different partners in the industry and asking for something with providing nothing. I wanted to have a very tangible, realistic program where I could tell them, these are our numbers, these are our students, this is our success rate, this is where we need help. And so going forward, I'd like to really pursue that community connection aspect of this particular program. We've been lucky that I've got some connections with industry, that I've had welders, former colleagues and friends come in and do some welding with the students, and that's been very much appreciated. Next slide, please. So our pilot program, our goals for this particular pilot program is obviously to have our first period completed successfully, to get that AIT accreditation, and for these students to be able to explore these career options. Now, I've told my kids, I don't expect you to be lifelong welders. However, this is a step in the right direction. I started off as a welder, and then I've become an educator, and it's something that is not a concrete, you're locked in. This is something that I'm hoping will be a stepping stone for these students as they continue their careers to whatever direction they happen to explore. So I'm trying to develop good life skills and good habits and give them this opportunity to find success after high school. That is about all I've got there. We've got our info there, and we have a Q&A, which I think will be deferred to later in the presentation. To quickly answer that question, we do have a cohort size of 8 students on this pilot program. Going forward, we might look to increase that occupancy to 16. Due to my limited time or my limited number of booths, my 8 booths, I wouldn't want to do more than 2 students per booth.
Okay, thank you, Jacques and Roger. That was awesome. Again, it came through just like the first presentation, the dedication to seeing students succeed and that equity piece and the post-secondary partnership. Thank you. I love the practical side of things, like those practical hands-on skills for students, and again, the amount of time you spend with them to get them to be able to thrive in this environment, and that's a beautiful shop. So well done. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Roger, I can see why you wanted to have Jacques present to us today, because it's his passion's coming through. So thank you very much for the presentation. We are going to take like a 2-minute break here, just to let you get a cup of coffee or whatever. If you have questions, if Roger and Jacques and the crew from East Central Catholic wouldn't mind hanging out, and you can ask some questions, but just grab a quick coffee, and we'll come back at 10:17 because we are going to get rolling with Livingstone Range and Palliser. So we want to give them some time as well. So just a couple minutes, grab a coffee. Thanks.
Yeah, Jacques and I will stay on through the break. He'll get back to his class right away. So certainly if you have questions of any substance, he's the guy to ask, not me. So he'll be here for the next 5 and then back to his actual welding kids that are right next door. So thank you.
Thanks again to both, to Glenn, Tara, and Kelly, and to Roger and Jacques for the first half. And I know it was a short break, but we'll get rolling to stay on time here. And if you need to take a quick break, then of course you are welcome to do that. We are going to get going with the Livingstone Range Ski Academy, and Scott Bailey will be presenting. Scott's been an educator at Livingstone Range, he's been an educator for more than 10 years for sure. He's been an awesome advocate for physical literacy with his work with Ever Active Schools. Full disclosure, big Scott Bailey fan right here. He's worked closely with Palliser in the past, and he's an amazing teacher, and he's running an amazing program. And I was the recipient of at a Shaping the Future conference just recently. I met a lot of the kids that might be presenting today, and they are fantastic and talk about those life skills and the skills beyond skiing they're learning. Scott can obviously articulate it more than I can, but I just want to say it was quite a blessing to be able to spend some time with these students and with Scott. So without further ado, take it away, Scott.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jason. Thanks everybody for joining us. And yeah, we have a team here. So we have 3 of our Ski Academy students, Nika, who's joining us from Germany this year, and Ainsley and Brody, who are local here in the Crow's Nest Pass region, and one of the founders of the Ski Academy and our assistant principal at Livingstone School, Eliza Gross, is here as well. I have just moved into this role, as Jason mentioned, so just finished 5 years with Ever Active Schools, and have made the move south into any ski instructor's dream job if they also happen to be a teacher. So yeah, we're very excited to share a little bit about our Ski Academy program with you this morning. And in that first chat, like as we mentioned, our program is going to be a little different, obviously, from the 2 that have been featured so far, but our links to the tourism industry here, especially a program that was really built for our unique environment down here in the corner of Southwest Alberta. If you haven't yet had the chance to visit Castle Mountain Resort, this is a picture of it here on the screen, and we'll share a little bit more, including some video of us in action. So we can move ahead. And yeah, I'll just share a little bit of the background of the program, and then I'm going to ask our students to just introduce themselves, because it'll give you a real sense of what experience in the LSA looks like and sounds like. So this is my first season here, but the program started with Eliza's leadership, and Jason Clifton, who's still with our divisions, moved into a new role, and our Associate Superintendent, Chad Kuzik, as well. Over the 7 seasons, it initially started with 15 athletes, and now we're pushing 70. Livingstone School is where we're based in Lundbreck, Alberta, and the school population has increased by about 100 students over this time, and in many ways has really allowed the school to stay a K-12 by offering this new program that has brought more families and students into the school. It helps attract international students, and even students moving into our division from Calgary, even Saskatchewan this year. The heart of our program is the On Snow that runs with our partners at Castle Mountain, which is one of the biggest employers in the area, and where most of our families are for recreation through the winter months. And over these 7 years, we've really worked to develop a year-round high school program, which is a really exciting part for me to step into. Our 3 students here are all high school students, so we'll just invite them to introduce themselves and share a little bit about what their experiences have been in LSA. You go first, Brody.
Okay. Hi, I'm Brody Harriet. I've been in the Ski Academy for 5 years now. I used to go to the school in the Crow's Nest Pass, so ISS, and then we moved out here because we heard about this cool program that we get to ski 3 days a week, every week during the winter months.
I'm Ainsley Harriet. I also moved from the Crow's Nest Pass here. I'm in grade 10, and I've been in the Ski Academy for 5 years. I'm also a coach or instructor at our local hill, PPK, and I got my certification with LSA.
Hello, I'm Nika Kirchner. I'm from Germany, Berlin, and I came to Canada because I wanted to ski, and Livingstone makes it possible for me to ski 3 times a week.
Amazing. So we'll let the stars of the show speak more as we move along, but yeah, a good representation of our high school program. And we also have a pretty thriving program from grades 4 to 6 as well. So just over about 10 students per grade. The population of our school is just under 250, so we are 1 classroom per grade. And it's been pretty good retention into grades 7 through 12, and we're hoping to continue growing that, obviously. We would have more international students if we could find more homestays in our region as well. So again, another part of the program that we're hoping will grow. Just our partnership with Castle Mountain is we have 11 instructors working in the snow school that are the coaches for our program. And it definitely has brought more highly certified folks to our area to work at Castle Mountain. It is sort of a plum position in the snow school there. And as Ainsley mentioned, like Ainsley and Brody are both teaching, and Nika's looking at the possibility of coming back perhaps after graduation. We have so many of our students working past Powder Keg, which is the small local hill in Blairmore in our area. Some are working at Castle Mountain, some are coaching in the race program or the freestyle program. So like those pathways to employment are already taking hold, and I haven't even talked about the shoulder season yet. Brody is a mountain biking coach here as well as one example. So we'll dive a little more into the high school course on the next slide. Or sorry, just the how we do it as well, pardon me. So I'll show you our timetable in a moment that has sort of evolved over the last few years, but I want to be mindful of the investment from the school division as well. So my role is about half-time teacher and half-time coordinator of the LSA program. So that's coming from Livingstone Range as well as from the school to have that time year-round for planning of the program, trying to build those career pathways through CTS and through the scheduled classes that we do have. Coming from Ever Active Schools, this program was built using comprehensive school health and the comprehensive school health framework, even if that wasn't like on the front page of the flyer. So our partnerships with transportation to local businesses, to the community, to families, and then obviously throughout the school community is huge. And as much as possible, we try to have an impact on the whole school community as well. Everybody's a Sabre as well as an LSA athlete here at Livingstone. So the timetable is probably our unique piece. So we run on a trimester schedule, but there's also the 2 semesters of high school. Eliza has to deal with all that, and there's charts behind me that make it all work. But the core of the On Snow program sees our 7 to 12s on the mountain Monday and Wednesday afternoons. The grades 4, 5, and 6s go on Tuesday afternoons. So pretty much most of our core classes take place in the morning. For some of our students, especially in grade 11 and 12, we've branched into the option of just skiing on Fridays, as some of the like 20 and 30 level courses have to fit in the afternoons to be realistic. But for the most part, we are able to get most of those core courses in the morning and scheduled through the other parts of the year so that we can free up 90% of our students for these training times. At the elementary ages, it's Genius Hour and inquiry projects and some opportunities for cross-grade collaboration, which creates a whole other host of opportunities at the school. Fridays, what works so well is the school over the last couple of years has embraced a Flex Friday program. So the entire school is involved in this from September to June, where teachers and students are building, in some cases, multi-week programs. Like we have a multi-week wilderness first aid that will come up after the ski season. In some cases, it's more of a week-to-week, where students and teachers can pursue some passions in arts, in physical education or sports and training. But there's some construction projects. There's a thriving foods program in our small kitchen as well. And so the Ski Academy just fits in perfectly with that. And that's our Flex Friday for 4 full months, December to the end of March. So we can move on to the next slide. We are a public school program, and we do want to welcome all students. Our goal is to hopefully continue growing the Ski Academy. There are a few comparable programs in our region. So Canadian Rockies does run a program The Strictly for International students, where just across the border in Golden, there's a junior high school program that's in partnership with the racing program at Kicking Horse. So those would be the two most similar programs. I will shamelessly say that our tuition comes in quite a bit lower than those, thanks to partnerships and thanks to the investment of the school division in a role like mine. So yeah, these have been our tuition rates for a number of years, and we do everything we can to try to keep them where they are. We've got a very invested group of parents, our LSA society, that helps to make it possible as well. So they're like our fundraising arm. We'll do like an annual silent auction. We can contribute to landfill cleanups in the region here, and a few others. We try to keep it in balance with all the other groups at the school as well. So generally we don't sell anything, but try to do it through events. And they offset the cost of the program for us anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 per year, which it translates to between $150 to $300 per athlete to hold off those costs. Yeah, we've worked really well with our partner at Castle Mountain to keep the costs as reasonable as we can. And by including the season's pass in there as well, that's a pretty big deal, and I think makes this a pretty competitive program. So we will give you a little video, a taste of the LSA, and as Jason mentioned, we recently had the chance to take 10 of our high school students to Lake Louise. So you'll see some clips of our students skiing, but then actually hear from the two that we have today, plus a couple of others who actually put those skills to use. All the students who were on this trip had taken ski instructor certifications through our program and were able to use them to guide teachers and school leaders who are at the Shaping the Future conference around the mountain at Lake Louise.
It was really good because the one lady, she only skied like once or twice, like at a little hill, and she was still in snowplow, and we got her out of it at the end, and she enjoyed the whole experience and had a lot of fun learning some new things and trying some things. And it really helped because LSA gave us the level 1 and the park certification a couple years ago, and it really helped her progress in a safe environment.
And many of them were very interested to learn about it, and they really liked the program that we are in and how it operated, and were really interested in it.
Cool. And in my scenario in particular, the guys that I had were actually looking to create their own type of ski academy in Red Deer, and it was a good opportunity for them to see and kind of break down what a day would look like for us skiers, and not only the skiers but the teachers and the coaches and everyone involved. So I took them a bit through like the drills we might do, the safety precautions, some of the attitudes that we might have while we're skiing and picking good terrain to ski on. So yeah, I think it was overall positive.
For me, it's a very nice feeling. Like you can show what you learn and give it to other people. And skiing is so much fun and you can show it to other people. And it's a nice feeling, you know what you do, and then you obviously can teach it, yeah.
I really used like showing the skill rather than explaining it, and then really skiing more than just talking, which really helped, and then just trying to connect with them and find out a bit more about them and then like what they liked.
And it was really fun because they had some skills, so we could improve on that, and we could help with their skiing to give them a little bit of a better experience. And I think that they learned a little bit from that, and as much as we learned, we also went and skied a bit, and I think that really showed LSA. So
yeah, and I thought it was really cool. This one teacher, I think her name was Stacy, she really enjoyed side hits, so it was cool to see her popping off all the side hits. And then it was great to see them in the park. You know, there was this one teacher, I can't remember her name, but she was obviously a little like less advanced than the others, and she still did the box, she did the jumps. It was amazing to see them improve and be as successful as they were.
Definitely the CSIA level 1, like that is right off, it's like amazing to have those skills to be able to teach someone. And then also just being coached, like Keegan's coaching style, and then being exposed to a bunch of different coaches' coaching styles is really helpful with like being able to teach people and explain things in a way that like they will understand. That was my first time coaching an adult, so it's really amazing to see the progression there, because you can, like, it's visible, it's like and they tell you about it, which is really cool. So I feel like that's like, it opens my eyes to that as a career path. And then also, like, personally with my skiing, every time I teach somebody and I'm forced to go back to those basics, it improves my skiing as well, which is really cool.
It's essentially like looking towards career pathways or lifelong skills that you've been able to take from LSA, and we'll let you jump in just with what some of your experiences have been in taking these. So whoever's feeling most confident. Ainsley, you brought up that you're already coaching.
Okay. Yeah. So throughout the first bit of ski season, we got our CSA level 1, which means we are like able to instruct people and coach them. So that took, I think, maybe 2 months to get, because we had like before, which is like a, what would you call that?
Like preparation course.
The prep course. We did the prep course, and then we did the actual course, which took 2 weekends each. And then, yeah, that's what I've done so far.
Well, I've gotten my certification for skiing outside of the LSA program, but I've gotten my wilderness first aid through it. I've gotten my avalanche certification, so I could go to the backcountry and ski if I wanted to. We've done a lot of other cool certifications too. And a couple of our programs that we've done through LSA is there's like a ski patrol thing. Like there's a student right now who he shadows a ski patrol on the Fridays that we go ski. It's pretty cool. And yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that reminder there, Brody, as well. So yeah, many of these opportunities will run, some of them through the season, like certification courses that are on snow, but we also at the high school level keep a course going, so 2 periods per week, and that's where we're able to take on some of the the Outdoor Council of Canada course, and like I'm actually able to facilitate that. We also have some of those folks in the division as well, like Jason Clifton, who can lead some of these. And the CTS credits, that's where Eliza comes in as well for mapping these. Like, I don't know, Brody, if you know offhand, but we've been able to map a number of your LSA courses to CTS credits. Eh?
Yeah. So like all of my certifications I've gotten credits for. Like I have my park certification, so I can coach people through the park. And I've gotten like all those courses that are listed right there, I've gotten credits for. And even like some of the work experience, because I work at our local hill 2 days a week. And it's pretty sweet because I get to do what I love and share it with a whole bunch of other people.
Awesome. So yeah, hopefully that does give you a little bit of a taste of the program. For me as a teacher coming into this program, some of you probably know Chad Kuzik, our associate superintendent. So I don't know if he had really approved PD time and funds before to keep up like my own instructor training certifications. But those are the steps, and I'm so appreciative that our school and division will do it. And that allows us to deliver these courses to students. It keeps those costs as low as we can right here at the school. And yeah, well, like next steps, we've got such an experienced crew of students that it only makes sense for them to start coming back as our coaches in the program as well, winter and shoulder season too. So yeah, we hope to build employment opportunities right in the school program, but also in our community at large too. So from the chat, I apologize. It looks like the video may not play, but there is a link, and we'll send the YouTube link through the chat. And yeah, just super proud of our students. They're such a great group, and they really shine in that environment, getting to teach other teachers, which is probably a little bit intimidating as well. Yeah, hopefully you can kind of get a taste for what that looks like. And my contact info, happy to leave here. If you're on, especially Instagram for us, but Instagram, Facebook at Ski Livingstone, you can really see the program in action, and we will try to keep updating through the shoulder season as well, because that's actually where we have time to do a lot of the cool things. And then Livingstone Ski Academy.ca. So we'll see for questions here. I know we're going to hold off till the end, Jason, and I should be able to jump back in.
Thanks, Scott. And I can verify everything you said there in terms of your students. I was, again, a recipient of the leadership that has been created in your students, and what a wonderful gondola ride. The articulation of Ruby, who's not there, but one of your students. I can attest to the fact that she's excited, and your students obviously here on the call are excited about their lifelong learning opportunities, the skills you're giving them that will ladder far beyond high school. And so I really appreciate that. And yes, we do need to build ski hills everywhere so we can do this. And yes, we do need to figure out a system in which we can work and ski 3 days a week while we work. That would also be, so the next one would be the School Leadership Academy of Skiing, so we can all get out there and learn those lessons. So thank you very much. I know you're doing a great job, Scott and Eliza, and thanks for sharing that story of practice. We really appreciate it. And if there's any questions, you can either put them in the chat, or we can hold off for a little bit here as we move on to our next group. And I need no notes for this group. This is the fantastic off-campus team from Palliser Schools. We've had the good fortune of being able to set up a bunch of different programs over the years, and I would not be able to do what we do here in the division as I get to lead this off-campus team if they weren't such an incredible crew. So I'm very proud of them. I will let Charlene, Ginny, and Brian take over from here, and I will be quiet as they present some of the opportunities we have in Palliser. Take it away, Charlene.
Thank you, Jason. So we are very privileged to work as a team to provide a wide range of opportunities, off-campus opportunities for our students across our division. For those of you who may not be aware, our school division is quite diverse. Our division includes a lot of rural schools north of Lethbridge, between Lethbridge and Vulcan. And then we also include a number of alternate schools in the Calgary area, including faith-based schools and the National Sports School. So our division is diverse ethnically, it's diverse geographically. We have small rural schools and we have city schools. And so one of our goals is to make sure that we're providing opportunities that meet the needs across our division, even though our school populations are very diverse. So you can see our mission vision there. I won't go into details about that, but just go ahead to the next screen. So Colleen talks a little bit about these 3 E's from the TAVE report, exploring the scope and demand, explore the scope, the demand, and the value of skilled trades and technologies. That's definitely important to us. Engage in academic studies and skills training through authentic hands-on learning opportunities, and experience diverse work integrated learning opportunities with employers. So we do this through our off-campus education, including dual credit opportunities, and then also CTS, CTF, work experience, green certificate, and WRAP. Go ahead to the next slide. And 2 more clicks. So explore, engage, and experience. Those 3 E's from the TAVE report are really important, but then layered over top of that is equity, which is really important for us in our school division. We want to make sure that our students in rural schools have similar and suitable opportunities, even though they're not in the city, for example. And we also want to make sure that our students in the city have the opportunity to have agricultural experiences. So we really work hard to make sure that there is equity across our division, even though we're very diverse. Go ahead to the next slide. So here's just a brief overview of some of the dual credit opportunities that we offer through our post-secondary partners. And you can see that it's very diverse in to meet a variety of interests. And a lot of these programs are offered online asynchronously, which means that students can access them wherever they are in our division. And now go ahead to the next slide, and I'll hand it over to Jenny to talk about Farm Ed.
Sorry, the bell is just ringing to end break right now, if you heard that. I work at Picture Butte High School among 3 other schools in our division. And at Picture Butte High School, they have just started up a farm education program, and it's in its 2nd year now. You can go ahead to the next slide. So part of the farm education, and there's a few schools that have started these up, and we're kind of in the baby stages, which is really exciting. And it's a really big learning curve, but part of this is finding that community engagement. So Picture Butte is a rural school just outside of Lethbridge, and there's a lot of feedlots and farming and other things around this community, but it's important to reach out to your community, find out the bylaws that will really shape what you can offer in your farm education type program. We've been really lucky to have community members offer their knowledge and their experience and even some of their animals to us. So that's that piece of engagement that doesn't just involve our staff and students, but also the full community around us. Next slide, please. So part of the exploring is being able to offer students credits at their high school level so that they can have something that they're working towards school-wise as well as knowledge-based. And so we start with those safety courses. We like the program SafeGen. It's a free online resource that allows us to get those students those HCS 3000 credits and 3010 and AGR 3000. And that AGR 3000 is really important for the Farm Ed program as well as for Green Certificate, which goes along really well with the Farm Ed program. So next slide, please. We also have found some other websites that offer module-based courses for credits and help students prepare for working with the animals, provided through ctsanimals.ca, and they're the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, which I think is really important when you're looking at working with those animals in your school. Right now at Picture Butte High School, we have laying hens, and we are about to hatch chicks for becoming laying hens. And then we also have our aquaponic system right now with tilapia in it and getting that starting some of our growing. So there's also using learnalberta.ca, so many egg credit courses that you can find to cater to wherever you happen to be at in the egg farm or in the egg program. So if you're just starting up like we are, there's building chicken coops, there's setting up the aquaponics, but then once those things are more established, you will adjust to the credits as the students need them for their learning. We can go to the next slide, please. So experience is so fantastic to watch students who are engaged in their learning and feel an investment. And when they are seeing the fruits of their labor literally growing before their eyes, these animals, these chicken coops coming together, the food that's growing in the aquaponic system, the tilapia that gets bigger every day, the students are involved and they want to be a part of this. You don't have the same classroom management and stuff because the students are invested, and that's such a wonderful thing. And then the other piece is we have students who have vast experience with farming and animals, and we have students who live in town and have had no experience, and they get to work together, and that really goes on with that equity. So not just, you know, students who every day get to work with animals, but reaching out to all of those pieces and letting all of our students deepen each other's knowledge and work together. So the next slide is actually a video. Hopefully it will work, and it's just a kind of intro to our Farm Ed program.
Scarlett. I'm in grade 10. I attend school at PBHS Pitcher Butte High School. Some things I like about Farm Ed is making the chicken coops, working with others, and harvesting the plants outside in our garden.
Hi, I'm Evan. I'm in grade 11 and I go to PBHS. I really like Farm Ed because you can work like with construction and animals and work with people as a group. And oh, hi, Rye. And we got Rye Guy in the class, so it was pretty cool.
I'm Ryan, and I'm grade 12, and I like in Farm Ed how to make the chicken coops.
Hi, my name is Rayan Kamens. I'm from Pitcher Butte High School. I am in grade 11, and my favorite part about Farm Ed is the opportunity to get to bring this program to the school. I'm so excited for it and so enthusiastic that I get to be involved in creating it for the school and for the future generations of kids who this program will be available to. I love coming into this class. The kids in this class are super enthusiastic like me, and yeah, they are super fun to work with, and yeah, I just really like this class.
My name is Brian Bergsma. I'm the Farm Ed teacher here at Pitcher Butte High School. This is our first year doing it, an exciting new thing that we can have for our students. Okay, I enjoy a lot of things. Right now we're building chicken coops. We got to harvest the garden earlier this year. I love that's just a different experience for all the students to get them involved in learning kind of where our food comes from and how we can prepare it. And it's just an exciting opportunity that we have.
This has been a long time in the making. We've been looking at this for the last year, and we've been doing lots of building, but we haven't been doing lots of what would be considered Farm Ed activities with the actual planting of gardens or the actual bringing in of animals. So to actually have the chickens come in today and get the kids interacting with them and setting them up, it was very gratifying to see.
It's been amazing, like to see it all come together, like from when we were like, oh yeah, we're gonna get chickens. Okay, well, what comes with that?
I'm afraid I'll accidentally fall.
There was a lot of times where we had to take things apart and redo it, but that's okay. Like, it was all learning. It was awesome.
Yeah, we really did want to give the kids a chance to experience what it was like from start up to completion. We didn't do any of the steps for them. We were there to help them when they got stuck, but we made sure they were the ones going through the steps.
Or we had to dig trenches and put chicken wire underneath it so that foxes or coyotes can't get in, and that's something that I would have probably never thought of. The insulation, I didn't think that we needed to insulate the chicken coop, but then we did. So it was a lot of learning on what animals require and what their setup and their environment needs. It was definitely frustrating at times, like, oh my gosh, we have to redo this again. But overall, it's like, it's so rewarding. Like getting those chickens today is like, yes, we did it.
Yeah. I'm done for today.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, well, that's my piece for Farm Ed, and I'll turn the time over to Brian Kim to talk about the Kate Andrews Fire Academy.
Hi, Brian, are you there?
We can't hear you, Brian.
I don't think I see him in the meeting, actually.
No, he's here. Patrick, can you just roll the, I don't know if you can play the video there while Brian's getting set up here. Still no audio, Brian. You may have to unplug from a docking station if you're in a docking station.
Oh, hold on.
There you go. You're good.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay. Sorry about that. Some technical errors. Oh.
We lost you, Brian.
No, we just lost you again, bud. Still can't hear you, Brian.
And go.
How about now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Let me start again. Third time's the charm. So I have the fortune of talking about the Fire Academy, and I'm going to quickly explain what's happening in this video here that you're watching. And essentially what you're seeing is the students are getting to play around with their bunker gear for the first time. And if you know anything about firefighting, it's very important for the firefighters to be able to get into their gears and get to the fire or the scene as quick as possible. And this is the first day practicing, and they're trying to get all of their gear on within their first minute. And if they fail, they have to do like 20 push-ups. And the reason that they're so fast is they've already done this like 17 times by the time I filmed this. So the reason I wanted to kind of start out introducing the program this way was because from where I sit and I get to watch the students from day one all the way to the end of the school year where they finish this program, I have the opportunity to get to see these kids develop from these awkward teenagers that show up not knowing how to interact with the firefighters and the equipment. And by the end of the year, they really do end up coming not just looking like firefighters, but having the hard skill sets in terms of what they need to know for firefighting, but also some of the soft skills that they need in terms of interacting with people that chain of command and making sure that they understand how to interact with the people around them. So the ways in which the Fire Academy does a great job of preparing these students is by providing them with 2 years of training. And if you want to go to the next slide there. Okay, so the first year kind of focuses on the firefighting aspect, and there's 2 certifications that they earn. Are we able to hit the video play? There you go. And could you just mute it? There's gonna be a lot of noise.
Keep at it, Logan.
I forgot how to go on.
Can you hit the mute on the video? On the far right side there. Perfect. Sorry about all the technical issues. Okay, so what you're seeing is kind of that first year of the fire side of things, so that they'll learn how to work with the equipment, the NFPA, which is kind of the general firefighting techniques. They learn how to clear rooms in a smoky area, how to use the hoses, how to knock down doors with axes and different tools. The second part of the year goes over things like hazardous materials, weapons of mass destruction, and emergency response and different personnel qualifications. So for the hazmat material, they were recently talking about, well, what happens if there is a spillage or a tanker tips over with hazardous materials? What do we need to do to make sure that the communities around them are safe? So technically, by the end of this unit, they should know how to evacuate Coaldale if that ever happens. And then the second year, if you want to hit the next slide there. Just a quick side, we move on to this. This is the medical year, the second year. So the footage does have some purple simulated blood. So if you're queasy, maybe turn off your screen or tip your laptop down a little bit. And you can hit play. And if you can also hit mute on that, just so. So the medical side of things focuses on 3 main certifications. And the first one is the BLS, which is the basic life support. And that focuses on students' ability to make sure that when they arrive on scene, if the patient is having any sort of respiratory or circulatory distress, how do we make sure we fix that so that they can actually get to wherever they need to, whether it's a hospital or get to the ambulance safely. The second one is the International Trauma Life Support, or the ITLS. And what you're kind of seeing in the video with the purple blood is kind of falls within that ITLS scope. So what happens if there's a traumatic incident or an acute injury event where, where they need to stabilize the patient and make sure that they can get into a surgery so that their lives can be saved, essentially. And the medical first responder is the third, and that's kind of the umbrella program that kind of covers everything else there. And essentially, it's the first step to students actually going into an ambulance and being able to work as a part of a first response team. Yeah, you can go ahead and go to the next slide there. So, like I said, this program does an incredible job of making sure that those day one awkward teenagers actually work their way and go through the certifications and become really capable of working not just in fire halls, but in ambulances and different things like that. And how this program really does a great job of exploring is kind of, you can kind of look at it from the origin of this program, where it actually started as an experiential week program, where a lot of the Kate Andrews High School students went to the local fire hall to just kind of see what being a firefighter is like. And as a result of that, students got to kind of explore what that career path looks like. But we were also able to explore what are some of the local community's needs. And Chief Kevin McCune, who's the fire chief at the Coaldale Fire Hall, kind of also mentioned, you know what, we really need a lot more younger people to be in the emergency services. We need more people to kind of bolster our numbers, because right now we're struggling. So this program kind of came about as a way to explore not just the students' desires, but we also were able to kind of engage with the community and see what they needed as well. In terms of engaging, we have really great instructors. Oh, there's a question here. Let me just take a look at it. Well, the nice thing about this program is we do have first responders on hand, so safety is never a huge concern. But in terms of the logistics of insurance and risk management, Jason might be able to speak on that a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll just, we haven't had any issues because, again, it is a, the risk management insurance piece, they're still covered under our school jurisdiction. We haven't had to buy any extra insurance. Again, we're not sending these kids in anything dangerous. There have been, though I should say, there have been some experiences where students have been hired in the summer with the grants. So the town of Coaldale applies for the student grants to be able to employ them for the summer. And in those cases, those students have gone on call and been out in actual what is it? MVAs, motor vehicle accidents. I'm trying to get the vernacular right. But again, those are covered by WCB and our OH&S and stuff like that. So there's no extra liability in that sense. And again, they're probably safer there than they would be anywhere else. So that's it's worked out well that way.
Mm-hmm. And the nice thing about the program itself, we also have students who's graduated from the program and have actually gone on to become instructors as a part of the program. So we're fortunate enough that we kind of have kind of dedicated and engaged instructors that kind of understand student safety, what kind of the limits are within the program, and making sure that they stay within that as well. Yeah, and in terms of experiencing and helping students kind of find what they want to do, this program has been incredibly successful in that a lot of our students have been able to make decisions on what they want to do after high school through this program. It's very often that we have students kind of announce on one of our regular Friday afternoons where we have these courses where they announce that they've been accepted to so-and-so programs for different types of emergency services, or going on to different types of medical professions and different programs like that. So yeah, this program has been awesome in allowing students to kind of engage with the profession. I'll turn it over to Charlene here.
So I know we're up against the clock. I just want to mention, so the program that Ginny talked about is a program that takes place on site during the school day. The program that Brian talked about is on Friday afternoon. So our school day ends just shortly after 1 o'clock. And then the students come to the fire hall after school for Friday afternoon, so it doesn't impact their school day. A different delivery model I want to mention too is for our culinary program. So we do have small kitchens in a number of our rural schools. And so what we've done is arrange for a dual credit program to be offered at those 4 schools with a SAIT instructor who rotates between those 4 locations. And the other schools will join in virtually on each of those days to participate in that live but online instruction. So this is a way to bring dual credit to the local schools. Those students are not able to travel to SAIT to participate, and so we bring the instructor out to them, and that's been a great opportunity. And so we have 4 schools that are participating in that program. I see a number of questions coming up in the chat. So Jason, do you want to read those out and maybe answer or direct those?
Sure. So Jen and Dave have the same question around credits. We offer 14 credits over the course of the 2 years. It's not technically a dual credit because the MFR is a certificate program, so it's continuing ed. So they get the certification, of course, plus the other certifications Brian pointed out. We give them 14 CTS credits over the course of the 2 years, and I can certainly send those to you. We also offer 11 CTS credits, and 3 of them are the fire program that I believe Edmonton Public has a fire services 15, so we give that to them as well. So there's 3 locally developed course credits and 11 CTS credits for the Fire Academy in total. Oh, sorry, and yeah, you've already got that. Okay, that's it. Thanks, Charlene.
Yeah.
Okay,
right,
sorry, were you done with the
yeah.
preliminary? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Okay.
That's all right. There's just our contact information. So if you have questions about any of those programs that we mentioned, you're welcome to reach out to us. We'd be glad to chat more about it. Back to you, Jason.
And yeah, thanks. And this is just a picture here because the other thing we run with the school farm is a beekeeping green certificate program. And so we, again, are trying to respond to that equity piece by having the green certificate be available to students at the school as opposed to away somewhere else on a farm. And so we're able to offer beekeeping as part of the school farm as well. So yeah, and the idea that SAIT or other partners will come to you has really worked out quite well. The fact that we get our rural students culinary programming, and we're looking at other types of programming through agriculture pathways as well. So it's nice the post-secondaries are incredible in terms of the amount of work they'll do to come to you as well. So anyways, I know I digress because I can talk forever, and I know we're already over time. So I will say thank you for coming. And Patrick, if you can, and there's our contact information, and you can all reach out to me or any of my team. We'll just skip right to the end, Patrick, because we're a little bit behind time. So we'll just go to the last slide. I know these ones would have this. Yeah. Okay, there's the resources. We want to invite you as well to make sure, keep going, sorry. We want to invite you as well to register for next week. We have 4 more stories of practice that are going to be incredible. We'll make sure you get these slides, but we'd like you to, if you wouldn't mind filling out the link to the feedback, so we get some feedback, sorry, to the survey. And of course, next week, if you can register for March 14th as well, 4 more amazing stories. We'd love to see you there. So we can hang out if there's any questions. And I know that, that Sandy, you had a question for Kelly. So Kelly, if you're still online, if you want to hang out, there's a question for you about the trailer. And otherwise, we'll hang out as well. If you feel free to ask any questions, and we'll do our very best to answer them for you. Thank you so much for being here on behalf of Colleen, on behalf of Patrick, and the rest of the TAVE committee. Thank you so much for participating. And thank you to everyone who shared their story of practice. It was greatly appreciated. And we look forward to hearing more next week. So take care.